We're living in, they're little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs lately. It seems like everything is, and everything just seems to be backwards. And I'm not just talking about with this election, although they say that, our leaders are a reflection of every single one of us. And if that's the case, that means that a lot of us are very divided. Well, I hope that this at least gives you a moment to forget about the craziness in the world and start pondering the absolute madness that is the Mandela effect. The quantum changes that some people call them. I did a video on it. If you haven't seen it, please go back and see it. It's a pretty extensive list. It's called the huge, shocking list of Mandela effects. But today, I'm going to talk about a lot of other Mandela effects that I haven't touched on, and a lot of people haven't even found yet. A lot of new ones, because, like I said, I like to scour. I like to search things out. And I've gotten so many requests for kind of like a follow-up video. So today's the day! Ha! Right on! Woohoo! Craziness, madness. Either we're all forgetting things, or life is a simulation like that other video, and things have changed, and not all of us have been updated with the memories of how things, should be today, but they're different. Wow, I gotta tell you, yeah, it's gonna be fun, right? I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm like babbling here. So you all better put on your seatbelts. And remember, exit rows are located on the front and the rear of the room that you are in right now. And it's going to be a mind-blowing couple of minutes. So buckle up, people, because we're about to enter the Mandela zone. Yeah, so I like to get a little fired up. Some people say that I'm out of my mind. I just say, you know what? Life is, look, so many people are so miserable today, right? And so many people are down in the dumps today. And I believe that if you just kind of want to live your life to the fullest, you need to be bigger than life. And so every week I try to do this. I try to give you my all. And this is the way I am in public life and in private life. I'm grateful for the life that I have, and all of you should be too. But let's get into it, right? Because I'm sure you don't want to hear me ramble on about all this stuff. Let's talk about the changes, because there have been quite a few. All right, so one of the things that I am known for is bad spelling. In grammar and anything else related to the English language. I'm kind of a train wreck, and thank God for my editor, because even now, if you've gotten my book, The Calling, you'll find that there's probably just still a ton of errors, and who cares? Really, it's not a big deal. But, this dilemma that we're in, that's the word, right? Dilemma. See, I, for years, spelled it the wrong way, I guess. I spelled it, D-I-L-E-M-N-A. I don't even know if I spelled it right now, but that's the way I used to spell it. Turns out there's two M's. It's never been an M and an N. I'm a big fan of, leaders of many different faiths, world changers and earth shakers like Mahatma Gandhi. Now, I guess I've been spelling Gandhi's name wrong for like ever. The H is in the wrong place, I guess, because I always spelled it one way, and it turns out that's not the way it was spelled. Now, I had a couple of heroes when I was a kid, and one of them was the Fonz. Hey, right? It shows you how old I am. And the other, I loved those motorcycle guys. I liked Evel Knievel. And it turns out, I guess he's been spelling his name different than the way I remember it. Evel Knievel is spelled this way. In one of the other videos that I've done on the Mandela effect with the quantum changes, and I talked about CERN and other things and the D-Wave computer. If you haven't seen these videos, please do see them, because I don't like to repeat a bunch of things. I mean, there's a bunch of things that I'm not going to touch on today that I've already talked about in other videos, other changes, other things that make you go, what? And One of them I want to touch on again because this still blows my mind is Cruella de Vil. And it turns out it was never, because I always thought that it was based on like that car, the Coupe de Ville. But it turns out it's Cruella Devil. And that just makes zero sense to me. I don't know. Call me crazy, but I guess I've been thinking about things wrong, like many of you. Products especially. Now, we all know I've talked about the Coke logo, how from the beginning, from 1920 on, the Coke logo has like a little dot instead of a wavy line. If you imagine it in your head, you're going to see the scripty letters Coca and then like a dash and then cola, but there's never been a dash, there's never been a wavy line. I've talked about this. I've also talked about, the Volvo logo and how I don't remember there being a male sign. I've also talked about the Volkswagen logo, that it was always, one fluid piece, the V and the W, but there's always been a dash. But going back to Coca-Cola, because I was a big fan of Coke Zero. And, this may not be new to a lot of you. I'm going to get to the new one soon, but it's never been Coke Zero, even though at the patent office, it goes by Coke Zero. It's always been Coca-Cola Zero, which I don't remember, because I remember that whole Coke Zero marketing campaign. But that's not the only product that's different. There's quite a few of them. Cracker Jacks. Remember Cracker Jacks? Yeah, there was a little treat in every box. Well, it's never been Cracker Jacks. It's always been Cracker Jack. Now, the logo of Cheetos I think this is a new one. I don't know. I haven't seen anybody talk about Cheetos, but, because if there's some things that are different, I just like to check everything. And when I pulled up the Cheetos logo, I was like, what? It doesn't even compute. It doesn't even look right. I don't know. It's crazy. It's nuts. Check it out. I don't remember it being all like that. I just remember it being like kind of scripty and cool, and I guess I was wrong. Another one, a lot of these, listen people, for those people that want to give me a hard time, they want to say, oh, your memory is wrong, and you're just remembering everything wrong, Jacob. Well, it's a possibility, right? Some of these I could be completely wrong on. There are only maybe about 12 or so that I know for sure were different. And this is one of the ones that I'm not so sure on, but a lot of people are freaking out about it. It's whiteout. And I remember it spelled WHITE -out. I remember that. But it turns out it's always been like this. Now, what I've noticed, which I think is weird, and it was the thing that I found in the Coca-Cola logo, was nobody uses the dashes anymore. It's always like a little dot. Like we just saw in the whiteout, there's this little white and then a little black dot out, which I guess could make sense. I remember the dash, but also Yoo-Hoo's another one that I remember the dash, and it's not there. So it's like a little dot. And there are a lot of other products like Kit Kat that we remember the dash and it's never been there, I guess. Now, for the people that come on here and they say, oh, companies, well, they change their logos all the time, and this foolish, what a big waste of my time this was. I say, well, I apologize for wasting your time, but I don't even know why you clicked on the link to begin with. Pretty much everybody knows what the Mandela effect now is, especially if you're going to watch it. If not, you're going to think it's a special on Nelson Mandela. But, there are so many things that are different now that it's hard to really keep up. Like, I'm buddies with a mechanic, and I went up to him and I said, hey man, what are you up to? And he goes, oh, I'm going to go over to Advanced Auto Parts. And I said, what's the name of that place again? I went, Argh! And he said, Advanced Auto Parts. I said, are you sure? Are you absolutely, positively sure that it is Advanced Auto Parts? And he goes, I would bet my life on it. I said, whoa, dude. I said, that's kind of a heavy bet. We could have like bet for a soda or something, but turns out it's never been Advanced Auto Parts. It's always been Advance. There are a lot of other logos that are different too. Like, I don't remember Kia cars ever looking so weird. Like, look at the Kia logo now. Now, I don't drive a Kia, so I could be wrong. But why are all the A's different now? They're all like little pyramids. Interesting, right? A little Illuminati connection there, possibly. But why aren't there A's? Why nobody using an A anymore? Like the Samsung logo. Take a look at this. Another one. Like, I remember Samsung with an A. And of course, I go back and I look at the history of these logos, and these are the way the logos have been for like at least a decade, if not more. So we shouldn't have been remembering them all wrong. Today, just out of the blue, I was just thinking, I'm like, because I do a lot of praying and you want to call it meditating. I don't care what you call it, but I go within and I say, what else? What else? What am I missing? What else am I missing? And at that time, this moving truck moved by, and I go, no, that truck's the same. But I immediately thought of U-Haul, right? And then I was like, it clicked. Another one with the dashes, and I was like, wouldn't it be weird if U-Haul had a little dot? Well, it turns out there's no dash, there's no dot, but look at the way the H is. It's just bizarre. So there's this place in the city. It's kind of a landmark. Everybody goes. It's FAO Schwartz, right? Everybody wants to play the piano like they did in that movie with Tom Hanks, which I don't even remember, but I'm sure that's changed probably too, right? Turns out FAO Schwartz, if you think about how to spell it, there's never been a T in there. I guess it's always been FAO Schwartz. I don't know how people would pronounce it Schwartz, but there's no T. Take a look. Remember that game, that Rubik's Cube, right? Rubik's Cube, okay? A lot of people are saying that it's spelled wrong. Me, I don't remember so much, but, when I was thinking about it, I said, well, it's probably spelled R-U-B-I-X. Like, that's probably the way I remember it, but I probably remembered it wrong because it turns out it's never been spelled with an X. Rubik's has always been spelled this way. I have 4 children. I have a 16-year-old boy, a 15-year-old boy, a 13-year-old girl, and a 5-year-old boy. Needless to say, over the years, I've watched plenty of Dora the Explorer. Yes, not my favorite show, but es muy buen, huh? little bit of Spanish there for you. Turns out the bull was used to have the little nose ring, right? Like, I always remember the bull with the nose ring. Turns out it's never existed. There's never been a nose ring in that bull. In the other video, I talked about the famous thinker, the thinker statue, and how it's different. How I remember it, I was all like this. I remember the thinker thinking like this, right? And turns out he's been thinking like this. I brought up the fact that George Bernard Shaw, who is a good friend of the sculptor, did a nude, a picture of him posing as the thinker. And we see, and I've shared this in other videos, probably, sorry if you've seen it already, but George Bernard Shaw, he's doing it wrong. If it was always like this, he's actually like this. One of my earlier videos, I got freaked out when I looked up the American Gothic picture because I don't remember the eyes looking all weird, like she was all looking over to the, looking towards the guy, like weird. Like, I don't remember that. I remember them both kind of looking almost directly at the, me. Turns out it's not the way it was. Now, of course, I started looking at all of these famous paintings, and some people say that the Mona Lisa is a little different. I'm not an art major, so I don't really know. I mean, like, I know The Thinker is different. I know it's different. I'm positive it's different. But the Mona Lisa, not so much. Not so sure. But it does look like she's smirking now. I remember the Mona Lisa smile being very, very, like, barely there. But now it kind of looks like she's smirking. She's got a little smile going there. I could be wrong. You know, other people could be wrong. So if you want to just say, oh, you remember things wrong, that's fine. I don't know why everybody who posts a negative comment talks silly, but in my head, that's the way they sound. Okay, so we're moving on to this. Now, this was really cool because C-3PO really kind of threw me for a loop. As you know by now, if you've watched any Mandela videos, C-3PO isn't all gold. He has a silver leg. And I thought that was strange because, of course, I was a big fan of the show, and of course, I had all the figures, and there was no silver leg. But what I thought was really cool was, so they're running a marathon, a Star Wars marathon, and I just happened to stumble upon a scene in Revenge of the Sith, which takes place before Star Wars. And guess what? C-3PO, he doesn't have a silver leg in this one. I couldn't believe it, so I immediately said, man, if this movie predates Star Wars, he would have a silver leg in this. But it turns out, all gold. Take a look. That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Right? You know, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. He should have, well, first of all, he's been all gold in my timeline, in my reality. But C-3PO is not the only one. You know, there's other movie changes. You know, obviously, life is not it's not a box of chocolates anymore. Life was a box of chocolates. That's changed. We know we're going to need a bigger boat is now you're going to need a bigger boat. We know Mr. Rogers' neighborhood is a beautiful day in this neighborhood, which, you know, really isn't what Mr. Rogers is all about. He's not all about exclusivity. He's about, you know, unity. But, so I started thinking, I'm like, well, maybe I should look up more famous lines from TV shows, famous lines in general, like pop culture lines. Like, I doubt that we've remembered every single famous line wrong. Like, a lot of people are saying that the famous Titanic line is wrong. I don't remember. I wasn't a big fan of it. I didn't see the movie, so I can't tell you. But some people say that he says, I'm king of the world. And it turns out he's actually saying, I am the king of the world. So look it up for yourself. But I am a fan of E.T. And E.T. phoned home. It wasn't E.T. home phoning. He didn't say E.T. home phone. He says E.T. phone home. So I don't know why the historical record of the movie has it wrong and everybody's quoting it wrong. E.T. home phone. I don't remember it that way. I also remember Arnold. I remember him saying, I'll be back. Not I'll be back. Like he has almost a perfect English accent. I don't get that, how it sounds so different now. But once again, could be remembering it wrong. But I will tell you one thing I am not remembering wrong. Now, my mother was very young when she had me. She was a single mom, and I lived with my grandparents for like the first 6 years of my life. Ironically, my backyard was a project called Adam's Garden. I think that's spiritually significant and very, very cool. But that's besides the point. Long story short, I watched a lot of old shows, right? Laurel and Hardy being one of them. I love Laurel and Hardy. I loved it. And I remember that great line, because this got me thinking. Remember, I was telling you about the famous lines. The famous line from Laurel and Hardy. That's another fine mess you've gotten me into. Now, I've asked people that are from this era, and every single one of them says, another fine mess. Why is it that he never said that? He actually says, another nice mess.
Well, there's another nice mess you've gotten me into.
Doesn't make any sense. You know what else is weird? Is the fact that if you search another fine mess, the YouTube video where he's quoting another nice mess, it's titled Another Fine Mess. So call me crazy, but that is changed as well. There are, of course, changes to the Bible, and a lot of this stuff makes you kind of scratch your head and say, maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe I'm just wrong. I mean, like I said, I know some for certain. And if you've ever been to my website, jacobisrael.com, you know that I've written hundreds of essays, based off of scripture. I like to give the spiritual meaning of many of these things. Too many people focus on the letter, the literal, and the letter kills. The literal kills. If you don't get the symbolism and the spirit of the story, you never kind of move on and never understand the life lesson. Like if you're busy arguing with somebody over there was a literal boy and a literal wolf, you're missing the point that you shouldn't be making up stories and exaggerating. There's a spirit to every story, okay? So, but the Bible, like I said, I know pretty well. I know many holy books I've studied over the years. And in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And, I only use the King James, not because, some people say it's the only one, but that's the only one that I've ever had. And I like Old English. So I would know if it said heavens. And I was really hoping that I could find proof, some way to just kind of say to people, wrong. It didn't say in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. It said heavens. And, since it's only the King James that seems to be affected, I kind of prayed about it. And I said, I want to know. Am I losing my head here? And then out of the blue, I saw a clip from the Book of Eli, and I remembered the Book of Eli, one of my favorite movies with Denzel Washington. He carried around the King James version of the Bible. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but they made a point of saying that it was the 1611 King James version, right? At the end of the movie, now the big deal is that he's memorized the whole Bible. At the end of the movie, he recites it because they lose the record of it, okay? And he doesn't say the heaven. He says heavens.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
Now, there are a lot of other, Mandela effects, if you will. There are a lot of other changes. And there's a lot of people that have many theories as to why this is. There's the theory that we're all living in a simulation, which I think is so cool. I did a video on that. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And that could explain why, some people, haven't been uploaded with the memory of what is today. Other ones are, CERN opening their parallel universes in the D-Wave computer, and somehow, realities have blended together and mixed matched memories. And another one is we're a big experiment. Of course, the one that most people kind of grab onto is the fact that we're just forgetting everything, and that we're remembering everything wrong. And to that I say, that makes no sense to me, okay? It does make sense. But man, all of us misremembering the same things like the Coke logo, really, were billions of dollars. These logos have been ingrained in our psyche, because TV is one big brainwash, mechanism that is used to basically get us to act a certain way, to behave a certain way, to think a certain way. And for logos like the Coke logo to change, that's something. And a whole campaign for Coke Zero. For it to be Coca-Cola Zero, it doesn't make any sense to me. But hey, the election doesn't make any sense to me either. And I got to tell you, a lot of people send me emails and they say they're worried. They're scared about the day we're in, and they have so many things to be scared of. And I'm telling you, fear is the enemy, people. If you're scared about things, you're not living, because we all have reason to be very excited about the days to come, especially because everything's so mad right now. Because, like when a woman is about to give birth, she has these birth pangs, right? And when she's about to give birth, these contractions, they come so frequently. Like first They start off they're there, and then there's a span, and there's another, and then there's another, and there's another. But then they come very frequently. And then it gets to the point where the person who's about to give birth is like, I'm just gonna die, But then that baby is born. That new life is birthed. And I'm telling you, people, these are just birth pangs. And a good thing is going to be birthed within us all, especially those who believe and who go inside and search for more and say, teach me the truth no matter what the cost. Those who are open to the idea that, there is more than what we've been told. It's exciting. This life, this journey we're on, it's exciting. Don't let all the negativity wear you down. Instead, be a light and shine it, baby. Shine forth so everybody can, begin to see as you see. It's exciting times we're living in. There's a reason to be excited. And we should also be a little cautious, yeah, but scared? No, not for me. Not for me. Because this ain't